Good morning, everybody. Welcome on in. It is Saturday morning here, and I've got a good little original for you because I haven't been asked this question, but it came across to me that it was worth talking about, given that a lot of my content is about fitness. So, for those of you wondering, today I'm kind of mostly chilling, going to be hanging out in the Discord a little bit after this, but it's because tomorrow I am going to Waikiki and I'm going to ride 100 miles in the Honolulu Century Ride. It's going to be a great time. If any of y'all live on the island of Oahu and you want to meet up, either during or after the ride, it's going to be a pretty good time. So it's going to start in Waikiki and going to go out past Makapu'u Point, the Kaiwi Pass, or sorry, the Kaiwi Strait Road. I believe that's part of the Kalaniana Ole, is actually being blocked off for bikes, which is going to make it fantastic to ride. I love that Honolulu County does that. Look, first off, it's one time a year for a handful of hours, and it brings in a ton of people for the local economy because it's a ton of people, especially from Japan, kind of predictable there. And then other cycling mad countries, Denmark, the Netherlands, France, come out here to do the Century Ride just because it's fun. And a lot of locals do, of course, too. It goes past Makapu'u Point, through Waimanalo, through Kailua, through Kaneohe, through Ahuimanu, through Waikane, up to Swansea Beach Park, about halfway up the windward side of the island, and then back down. And it's 100 miles. So this is going to be a blast. I'm very excited for it. Starts at dawn tomorrow, so I have to get good sleep tonight. Something I've been struggling with recently. I've been averaging maybe 7 hours flat, and it's just not enough given what I put my body through. However, I did hit a squat PR on Thursday, hitting an all new max. And that's going to lead us into the topic we're talking about today: music and lifting. Should you use it? So there are more pros and cons to this than you might think. Most people are going to say, well, yeah, good music can definitely give you an extra edge when you're lifting. And for that, I agree. That is one of the biggest pros of lifting. However, there are some cons, and I'll get into that. So for lifting, it's a lifting buff, but it's not 100% all good news. So let's talk a little bit about the pros first. Why would you want to listen to music when you're lifting? Well, there are a couple reasons. One is that it can make lifting more enjoyable, and if you enjoy it, you're probably going to do it more, and you probably be more into the sets you're doing. It can, especially with super heavy sets or burnout sets, give you that motivation to really smash that extra rep or just get a little bit more force on it. For instance, when I squatted 455 on Thursday for a PR, I put Raining Blood by Slayer on because, of course, I put Raining Blood by Slayer on. It's very good for lifting too, especially if you're trying to set a PR or do an AMRAP. I've talked more, I've done videos in the past about what other kinds of music I like, but the big four, right? Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, and Anthrax, they're all fantastic to lift to. Uh, there are a few other benefits to it, right? So, mood boost, agreed. It definitely makes me feel better. Like if I've just hit a PR, something throwing like Jump by Van Halen or Victory by Megadeth definitely gets me feeling good. You can also find that there are timing bits of it, right? So you can time, like, you can find a piece of music that times up very well with whatever exercise it is that you're doing. For instance, right, if you've got a 4 rep set or a 5 rep set, something kind of heavy where you're going to be grinding these reps out, like a heavier bench press set, throw on something like Iron Man by Black Sabbath, a little bit slower tempo, but very intense, da 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 da. You get the idea, right? Or if you're going for more sets of 15 to 20, you want something faster paced, you can stick with it. So that's a pretty big pro. You can tune, especially the more you lift, you can figure out what songs work with what exercises, and your mileage will vary. This is a personal thing, but you can get to the point where you can pick up oh, I know I want to listen to this, and this for this, and this workout. Maybe it's just kind of how my brain works, but there are certain songs that work really well for certain exercises. For instance, if I'm doing a 20 rep squat set, there is one song and one song only that I choose to listen to. If I'm going super squat style, I will throw on Dominance and Submission by Blue Oyster Cult. I cannot recommend that enough. It is, listen to the song and you'll figure out why. Especially the call and answer section. When you're getting into the teens, 13, 14, 15, 16 reps. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You need to be doing them heavy breaths, especially as you get towards 17, 18, 19, 20. Just mm, works too well. Anyway, so you can kind of pick that way. You just start jamming, and it can also make a bad workout go by a little bit faster because it's like, well, at least I'm listening to music I like. Um, but there are a couple cons, and I wanted to talk about those. So one is that you're gonna miss out on potentially talking with other people. And yeah, you're not in the gym to do that, but sometimes you meet really interesting people you otherwise wouldn't talk to in the gym. So if you want to meet other people that you think might be interesting to learn from or talk to or become friends with in the gym, listening to music obviously blocks you from doing that. Another one is going to be you can lose your focus sometimes if you've got your music on like a shuffle playlist and you're switching through songs trying to find one that works. It can take a little bit of time that you don't really necessarily have. And you can also, when it comes to focus, right, you can sometimes, if you're jamming out to music, you may lose a little bit of focus on your form. I've noticed this sometimes if I'm really like if I'm thrashing, throwing something hard and heavy down, it's going to be harder for me to maintain the same level of focus on each rep, making sure the form is as good as it should be. So if you're going without music, it's very easy to do that because there's nothing else to focus on. It is move the weight. Uh, the other one is, if you listen to music on your phone like I do, it can pose a distraction. You can get a text message while you're lifting. I recommend do not disturb mode if you do use music from your phone for this reason. It can be distracting and you can end up wasting a lot of time, answering other shit on your phone that you really should wait to do. And you don't want to hog up a machine. So, generally speaking, especially if it's a busy day in the gym, have an idea what song you want to play next before you play it for the set. Get it set up while you're like immediately after you finish a set. That way, you're not taking forever just to find a song. The other one too is that as a substitute, you can use imagination of a song you want, right? If there's a song you've listened to a lot of times, a certain section of it, you can pretend you're listening to it. If you know the lyrics, you know the beat, you know the cadence, you can kind of like play it in your head almost. And while that's not as effective as actually listening to it, trust me, I've tried, it can be useful. The other and final con I would say is you lose a bit of flexibility, or not flexibility like literally, but in the sense of if there comes a time where you have to work out and you don't have music available, if you get too dependent on using it, well, you're not, and then you don't use it, you're probably going to be a little bit weaker because it's going to throw you off your game. So I'd say every so often, not all the time, but do a lift without working out music and see how you respond. It's an interesting test you can do on yourself. It's another reason I'm a huge fan of writing all your stuff down. If you do, you can see, oh, I lost 1 or 2 reps because I wasn't listening to music today. It's kind of an interesting experiment to play. That was really about it. In general, my concluding summary here is if lifting works for you, okay, or if music works for you in the gym, use it. Occasionally try a workout without lifting, see how it goes. But don't overanalyze it. It's not, if you're one of those people who's like, I have to have my music with me or I can't work out, maybe try a couple workouts without and build some resilience. But otherwise, generally speaking, I think music's a great thing to have in the gym. I will make one exception here with not bringing music into the gym, and that's if you're in a gym that is based and actually plays good music over the speakers. But most gyms these days all seem to want to play the most sanitized power pop possible. And look, I have nothing against Katy Perry, but it is not good music to listen to while you're working out. Same with Justin Bieber or Panic at the Disco or any of these other songs. Like, there's nothing wrong with those contemporary pop artists, but look, if you're going to put Katy Perry up against Slayer for a better song to work out to, most people who are serious about lifting are probably picking Slayer. Anyway, that's all I had for this one today. I've got a couple other videos in the works, so depending on how much time I have today, I might make a second one later, but I'm going to go chill on my Discord. Link in the description if y'all want that. Much love. As always, y'all, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form and ethos. Can be the guide star through the rough waters of life. And of course, if you would like me to answer any question at all, personal finance, dating, diet, fitness, philosophy, you name it, lifestyle optimization, write to me at askbullmuscle@gmail.com. See you next time. Come in for the hug.